Hello and welcome to this edition of Howzzat. As always, I've got my colleague and senior friend with me, Vijay Lokapally. Vijay, good morning to you.
Yeah, very good morning, Rajaraman. It's unfortunately we didn't get a good game last night.
Yeah, it was a drab chase, but I think full credit to the Mumbai Indian bowler for having pegged the Kolkata Knight Riders batsman back. No, in fact, even the post-match interview that Dinesh Karthik gave as captain of Kolkata Knight Riders, he seemed a little off color. Even when asked questions, he seemed a little disinterested in answering questions, dismissed it as saying, "Let us not even analyze this game." It might be a nice way of leading a team. It might be a nice way of encouraging your own team. But when you come for an interview at the end of the game, you are expected to have some answer. And it was a little disappointing to see how Dinesh Karthik responded to the questions that the interviewer had of him. Let's take a quick look at the scorecard, Vijay. We know that Mumbai Indians was asked to bat first by Dinesh Karthik, and they made 195 runs. Rohit Sharma was able to pick up those runs, having missed out in that first match. Made 80 wonderful runs playing those pull shots. Surya Kumar Yadav contributing 47 in a very brisk partnership of 90 runs for the second wicket with the skipper. Kolkata Knight Rider bowlers were unable to stop Mumbai Indians from getting close to 200 runs. And then the chase never really took off, basically because the opening batsman faltered. Pat Cummins scored a few runs in the end, particularly being severe of Jasprit Bumrah. But with four bowlers picking up 2 wickets each, Mumbai Indians was home and dry by 49 runs. It was a comfortable win for Mumbai Indians in the end, Vijay.
Yes, it was a comfortable win because if you look at the target, Kolkata Riders would have needed a very brisk start, which never happened because Shubman Gill and Sunil Narine, apart from a couple of good shots, they couldn't get going. And as it is, KKR has a very poor record against Mumbai Indians. Something happens when they discover that the opponents are Mumbai Indians, and here, I mean, last 10 matches, I was reading they have lost 9 encounters against Mumbai Indians.
That is a surprising stat for a team that has got enormous talent, that has got big hitters, that has got people who can rotate the strike. Unfortunate that KKR doesn't seem to have that wonderful presence against Mumbai Indians. But Vijay, let's look at the game itself. Obviously, it was Rohit Sharma who was the biggest takeaway. The talking point from last night's game would have been Rohit Sharma's batting for you, wouldn't it be?
Rohit Sharma, he never gave the impression that he was away from the game. I mean, he did say that he hasn't practiced in the last 6 months, and there were times when he was looking very tired. But the fact that he doesn't score his runs in singles and twos helps him. He keeps he preserves his energy for all those big shots, and I'm really amazed at the ease with which he plays those pull shots. I mean, even against good length balls, obviously predetermined strokes, but Rohit is a delight to watch. And last night, I must say, the shots he played square of the wicket were absolutely thrilling.
Let's listen in to what Surya Kumar Yadav, who had the privilege of watching him from 20 yards away, had to say at the end of the game about Rohit Sharma's batting.
I think he's a world class batsman and he knows what dimensions are there on the ground as well. And even at Wankhede, when he goes out to bat, he keeps it very simple. And the same thing he has been carrying to Abu Dhabi as well. Yeah, the boundaries are big, but I don't think there was any drastic change in his batting. He just kept things very simple, played his natural game, what he is known for, and the result is there in front of you.
I think for Rohit Sharma, every ground looks like a Wankhede turf because he has scored runs all over the world, and it is good for this IPL that Rohit is shown early form. And yes, Surya Kumar had the best seat in the stadium, watching his partner from such close quarters, and that's probably one reason he himself was able to play some good strokes.
It was disappointing, wasn't it, Vijay, that first of all, the KKR bowling does not seem powerful enough. It does not seem to have the teeth. It depends a great deal on Sunil Narine and on Kuldeep Yadav to come good. But on a flat surface where batsmen can play the shot, both of them were found a little wanting. And then a number of runs that the faster bowlers lead was quite disappointing from KKR's point of view.
Yes, see, that's the skill. I mean, if you are really good, you should be able to uh, do well on any kind of surface. That's a challenge you face, because good old bowlers like, I mean, everyone talks about the spin quartet, but I remember Anil Kumble or Harbhajan Singh, and at times even Rajesh Chauhan, Vikatpati Raju, they won't allow you to use their feet against them. I mean, they, of course, they didn't play T20 cricket, but they had tremendous skills to keep the batsman quiet. So here, obviously, these bowlers have not risen to the occasion, but Pat Cummins will have to come good. He's coming out of a quarantine period, so you can give him that leeway, allow him to recover, and as I hope the richest buy of this tournament will come good for the sake of KKR.
You are right, Vijay. There will be obviously a lot of focus on Pat Cummins and the way he bowled. He did have a good knock in the end, but his bowling is what KKR will be looking for throughout the season. Let's listen to what Dinesh Karthik had to say about Pat Cummins and the fact that he was expensive in his 3 overs.
I think it's very unfair to judge him right now. He's just off quarantine. He's literally at 3:34 is when he got permission to come and play the match itself. So, we're just happy to have him. I don't think this is a game where we need to judge him at all. Just the fact that, he's a world champion bowler. I think, I expect really, I mean, from whatever I've heard and seen, he's one of the best going around in the world. I trust him completely. I'm sure he'll come good.
That was Dinesh Karthik, of course, defending Pat Cummins and saying that he'd just come out of quarantine and that the expectations were not as high. But as the season progresses, obviously Pat Cummins will be expected to do a lot more with the ball than he managed last night. Let's move, Vijay, to how the KKR chase panned out. I don't think the Kolkata Knight Riders chase ever took off, whether it was Shubman Gill or the big hitting Sunil Narine. I don't think either of them managed any shot. But credit must be given to how Trent bowled and James Pattinson bowled. And with Bumrah coming in after that, I don't think the KKR was in any position to launch that assault in chase of 196.
Yes, Rajaraman, I think this is, if you look at the Mumbai Indians pace attack, this probably to me looks the most balanced. You have Trent Bolt, left arm, a very, very, what should I say, probing bowler. And then you have James Pattinson, and what a wonderful sight he is for a fast bowler. That's how you want to watch. He reminds me of so many bowlers from the 70s and 80s who would go flat out, never compromise with the pace. And even in this format, Pattinson has looked to take wickets. And Bumrah, of course, we all know he's improved with every season. He's such a wily bowler for a fast bowler. And yes, it was going to be very difficult. And KKR, without a good start, had very little chance to win the game against Mumbai Indians.
There was a time where expectations rose a little bit when Ian Morgan and Andrew Russell were at the crease. Not because they were playing the big shot, but because of their own reputations. But I think we got to see last night that reputations matter little. You got to perform on the night, and both of them were dismissed by Jasprit Bumrah in just that 1 over.
I think he's the best bowler. I feel he's the best bowler in the world, and his rhythm, his work ethics, and his discipline during the training sessions have been unbelievable, as I have been seeing in the last few days. And of course, he's come back really stronger, and he'll keep getting stronger as the game progresses.
I was particularly pleased with how Bumrah has come back from injury. I was a little worried, Vijay, to be honest. I was a little worried about how the three premier Indian fast bowlers would fare, whether it was Mohammad Shami in one of the earlier games or Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and now Jasprit Bumrah. I think they've all shown that they've handled the lockdown pretty well and have come back with smart training, and they are bowling well within themselves. And it is good to see the Indian fast bowler in pretty good nick.
Yes, they're bold within themselves, but they've just played 1 or 2 games. So we'll have to wait at least till the halfway stage, because they will have to, at some point, exert themselves. Bumrah, of course, he never went flat out. He was bowling, like you said, very restrained. He knows his limitations to go flat out so early in the tournament. Nobody is going to take risk an injury. But the sight of Pattinson, even Cummins. I mean, if you see, Cummins is a very good fast bowler. And here we got to see his batting exploits, that too against a bowler of Bumrah's reputation. So there was some entertainment, but yeah, overall, a very disappointing game.
We'll stick to the chase for just a bit. You would have expected Kolkata Knight Riders to be aware of the net run rate situation. We got to see that the night before with Faf du Plessis and Mahendra Singh Dhoni trying to bridge the gap between them and the net run rate. They lowered the net run rate down considerably. But last night, didn't seem to be any awareness of the need to close net run rate. I think KKR was a little bit relaxed basically because it was their opening game and they did not want to do too much about the net run rate. They perhaps have confidence in their own skill and that they will be able to come back and win a lot of the remaining 13 games and be in contention for that playoff spot.
Yes, I mean, if you see, the chase was never really on. You had to have a, unless you had a good start, they were never going to make a chase of it. So they were probably confused whether to go for the maintain the net run rate for the coming games or go for a victory just the first match. And if you see the whole character or whole the character of the match, I would say was evident when Decock, when he took the catch against Morgan, he did not even look to celebrate. And they knew by the time they had wrapped up the game. So that kind of it shows the domination that Mumbai Indians had established, and they will KKR obviously will have a lot of homework to do. They'll have to go and look at some of the dismissals and obviously wait and pray that they in the coming matches someone like Shubman Gill and Sunil Narine deliver.
Vijay, one very, very crucial aspect last night, and I think it will cause concern to the captain, was the fact that Dinesh Karthik won the toss, put Mumbai Indians into bat, hoping that the due factor will come into play. But listen to Surya Kumar Yadav talk about how there was not so much due factor that came into play in the second innings.
I think it was almost the same from last game. There wasn't that much due as we expected. But yeah, having three world class bowlers, world class quickies in your team is always a blessing, and I'm sure they'll continue the same way they have been doing.
But overall, I think the Mumbai Indians were lucky to get away that there was not so much due. But aren't captains going to be worried? They are taking a punt. There is a gamble every time a captain wins a toss and invites the opposition to bat first, hoping that the due factor will come into play in the second half of the match. When you're expecting a lot of due to come in and it doesn't, the gamble doesn't pay off, Vijay.
They will have to bear one thing in mind: the pitch, because ultimately it is the quality nature of the pitch which will decide whether they opt to bat first or opt to field first. Because due factor is definitely there, but it doesn't help if you end up conceding 200 runs or 180 plus runs, and then the see, when you chase, you have a target in front, but you also have the pressure in front of you. So, and the pressure mounts if you lose early wickets. And the due factor doesn't hold if you're not able to contain the opposition to a total which is within your grasp. So, they will have to, tactics will vary. They will, I'm sure they will revise their tactics to bat second. But due factor, let us wait and see. It is just what 4 days into the tournament, how the captains react, and tactics will keep changing as the tournament progresses.
And we can see how Mumbai Indians has leapfrogged to the top of the table with that win. They did start with a defeat, but then they have managed to come on top after the second game. Tonight, there will be a big game, Karnataka versus Royal Challengers Bangalore. You heard me right. It's going to be Karnataka versus Royal Challengers Bangalore. No, I'm joking. This is going to be Kings 11 Punjab versus Royal Challengers Bangalore. Of course, Kings 11 Punjab having a lot of Karnataka players. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, Vijay.
Yes, it has to be, and I'm looking forward to some improved performance from Kings 11 Punjab. Let's hope Rahul gets going because he's a very exciting batsman to watch. And again, the focus will be on Royal Challengers Bangalore, especially on Virat Kohli after his failure in the first game. So let us hope we get two good innings to watch, one from Virat Kohli and one from KL Rahul.
Two other cricketers on whom I will be focused. are Ravi Bishnoi of Kings 11 Punjab and Devdutt Padikkal, two youngsters who made a good impression in their opening games in this IPL. What they do, how they sustain their performance will be of interest to me. Whether they are able to produce the consistency that can take their game to the next level, or if they are one-off heroes, that remains to be seen. And that is one reason why I will focus on these two youngsters.
I think not just you, because the two captains also will be focusing on these two players, how to keep Padikkal quiet and how to get pick runs of this leg spinner who has impressed Anil Kumble the most. So you're right. It could be interesting if you get to see a battle, even if for a couple of overs between Padikkal and Bishnoi.
Thank you very much, Vijay. I hope we will have a better game tonight and that we can enjoy the rest of the IPL as much as we have done.
Yeah, looking forward to some good cricket.